It was a crisp autumn morning in Washington, D.C. The White House was buzzing with activity as President Donald Trump prepared for an exclusive event, a private meet-and-greet with select members of the U.S. Air Force. The event was meant to honor young officers who had demonstrated exceptional courage and commitment to their duty. Trump, known for his commanding presence and unpredictable remarks, looked over the list of attendees with mild interest. But one name stood out: Lieutenant Eleanor Carter. She was the youngest female lieutenant to receive the Air Force Cross for bravery in a top-secret mission overseas. The press had been silent about the details of her mission, and that intrigued him. When the moment arrived, the officers lined up to shake hands with the president. Lieutenant Carter, a striking woman in her late 20s, stepped forward, her sharp blue eyes locking with Trump's as she saluted. "Mr. President, it's an honor," she said firmly. Trump, always one to judge character, instantly studied her face. There was something about her, an intensity, a weight behind her gaze that made him pause. "Lieutenant Carter, I've read a bit about you. Sounds like you've done some serious work for this country," Trump said, shaking her hand firmly. Carter hesitated, as if choosing her words carefully. "Yes, sir. And there's something I need to speak with you about, something urgent. It's classified, but I believe only you can address it." The air grew thick. The other officers and aides exchanged nervous glances. It was rare for a junior officer to request a private conversation with the commander-in-chief. But Trump, ever the showman, raised an eyebrow. "Sounds interesting. Walk with me," he said, leading her away from the main gathering. They strolled toward a more private section of the Rose Garden. Secret Service agents stayed close but at a respectful distance. "All right, Lieutenant, you've got my attention. What's this all about?" Trump asked, his arms crossed. Carter took a deep breath, her expression hardening. "Mr. President, the truth is, my mission wasn't just about enemy combatants overseas. What I discovered was something far more dangerous, something that threatens the very foundation of this country. And worse, the people who were supposed to protect us are hiding it." Trump narrowed his eyes. "Go on." Carter glanced around, lowering her voice. "I have proof that elements within our own government are orchestrating an operation, one that involves national security, secret military projects, and unauthorized experiments on U.S. soldiers. They're covering it up, Mr. President, and if this goes unchecked, America as we know it may not survive." Trump's expression darkened. He had faced countless conspiracies, scandals, and attempts to undermine his presidency, but something about the lieutenant's urgency struck him as different. "You're telling me people in my government are behind this?" Trump asked, his voice lowering. Carter nodded gravely. "Yes, sir. And if we don't act fast, the truth will never see the light of day." Trump leaned in, his eyes flashing with determination. "Then we're going to expose it. Right now, you tell me everything you know." Carter exhaled sharply, steeling herself for what was about to come. "All right, Mr. President. But once you hear this, there's no turning back." Trump led Lieutenant Carter into the Oval Office, dismissing the aides and even his closest advisors. The door shut with a firm click as the room grew silent, save for the distant hum of the West Wing's activity. He took a seat behind the resolute desk, motioning for Carter to sit across from him. "All right, Lieutenant," Trump said, leaning forward, "start from the beginning, no holding back." Carter placed a small, black USB drive on the polished wood. "Everything you need to see is on this. But I'll give you the basics first." She took a breath before continuing. "During my last deployment, my unit was assigned to a reconnaissance mission near a classified airbase in the Middle East. At first, it seemed like a routine surveillance job until we intercepted encrypted communications between American personnel and someone else." Trump frowned. "Someone else? Who are we talking about here?" "That's the problem, sir," she said, her voice tightening. "The communications were directed to an unidentified entity, one not registered in any U.S. or allied system. The messages referenced Project Phantom. My team was ordered to stand down when we tried to investigate. But I couldn't let it go. I dug deeper and found that this Phantom wasn't just a code name, it was a covert operation being run off the books by people within our own government. And their experiments," her voice faltered slightly. "They're using advanced technology on human subjects. Our soldiers." The room seemed to grow colder. Trump tapped his fingers on the desk. "You're telling me that people under my administration are running unauthorized experiments on U.S. military personnel? Without oversight?" "Yes, sir," Carter confirmed, her jaw tightening. "And the worst part, they're testing technology that shouldn't even exist. Things far beyond conventional weapons. I have evidence of biological enhancement programs. Soldiers are being transformed into something else." Trump's face hardened. "Who's behind it?" Carter hesitated. I only know part of it, several high-level figures in intelligence and defense. But the name that kept appearing in the encrypted files was General Nathan Briggs. He operates under the Joint Special Operations Command. On paper, he's a patriot. In reality, he's running this operation out of a shadow branch with zero accountability. And, Mr. President, she paused, locking eyes with him. They tried to kill me when I got too close. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Trump leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled beneath his chin. You've risked everything to bring this to me. Why? Carter's expression softened slightly. Because I still believe in the oath I took to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And right now, sir, the enemy is within. A tense silence settled over the room before Trump broke it with a decision. Here's what we're gonna do, he said, voice firm. I'm getting my chief of staff and intelligence heads in here right now. We're going to confront this General Briggs, and if he's guilty, heads will roll. Carter shook her head urgently. Sir, with respect, you can't trust your intelligence team. If Project Phantom has infiltrated this deep, they might already be compromised. If we move openly, they'll destroy the evidence and bury the truth before we can expose them. Trump narrowed his eyes. So what do you suggest? She slid the USB drive closer to him. This contains encrypted documents, field reports, and video evidence. If you want the truth, you need to review it personally. If you agree that this is as serious as I'm telling you. I have a plan to expose them without alerting the traitors inside. Trump studied her carefully before reaching for the drive. You're playing a dangerous game, Lieutenant. But I like your style. He pressed a button on the intercom. Clear my schedule for the next hour. And get me a secure laptop now. As Carter sat silently, Trump plugged the drive into a specially secured terminal. The screen flickered to life, and with each document he opened, his face grew more serious. Photographs of heavily augmented soldiers, internal memos authorizing illegal tests, and video footage of secret bases flashed across the screen. When he finally leaned back, the color had drained slightly from his face. This is beyond anything I imagined, he admitted, shaking his head. We can't let this stand. Carter's voice was calm but resolute. Then let's take them down, sir. Together. Trump nodded slowly, a familiar gleam of defiance flashing in his eyes. All right, Lieutenant. Let's make some noise. The clock ticked steadily in the Oval Office, but Donald Trump's mind was already racing ahead. What Lieutenant Carter had revealed wasn't just a national security breach. It was a direct assault on the heart of American freedom. And if there was one thing Trump prided himself on, it was fighting back when the stakes were high. He turned to Carter, his voice low but fierce. If this General Briggs is running a shadow operation, we're going to expose every dirty little secret he's hiding. But we need to be smart. One wrong move and they'll erase everything. Carter nodded. I have a contact inside the program. He's been feeding me information, but he's scared. If we can extract him safely, he'll give us the evidence to blow this open. Trump stood, straightening his red tie. Give me a name. Captain David Ruiz. He works inside one of their black sites in Nevada. But he's being watched. If we try to approach him through official channels, they'll silence him. Trump smirked. Good thing I don't play by the rules. He grabbed a secure phone from the desk and dialed a number only a handful of people in the world knew. The line clicked after one ring. Agent Reynolds. I need a quiet extraction, Trump said, his tone all business. Nevada desert. High-value military asset. No media, no leaks. A calm voice on the other end replied, Understood, Mr. President. We'll move within the hour. Trump hung up, turning back to Carter. We're getting your guy. But when we do, I want every piece of this puzzle. If these traitors think they can run secret experiments on our soldiers, they've got another thing coming. Carter's face hardened. They won't see us coming, sir. 12 hours later, under the cover of night, a blacked-out military helicopter touched down on the outskirts of an unlisted base in the Nevada desert. Agent Reynolds, a seasoned operative loyal to the president, led the mission personally. In a dimly lit research facility, Captain David Ruiz sat at his console, his heart pounding as the clock crept toward midnight. He knew his days were numbered. Ever since he had leaked documents to Carter, strange things had been happening. Missing colleagues, odd surveillance, and subtle threats. A faint tremor ran through the floor. Seconds later, the emergency lights flickered as an explosion rocked the outer perimeter. They're here, Ruiz whispered to himself. Two men in tactical gear burst through the door, their weapons lowered. "Captain Ruiz?" one asked. "Yes," Ruiz stammered. "Who sent you?" The taller agent lifted his radio. "Eagle has the package. Moving to exfil." Ruiz exhaled shakily. He wasn't alone anymore. By the next morning, Captain Ruiz was sitting in a high-security briefing room deep inside the White House. His hands trembled slightly as he handed over a battered leather folder. "This is everything I could steal without raising suspicion," he said. "Project Phantom goes deeper than even Lieutenant Carter knows. They're not just enhancing soldiers, they're replacing them." Carter's head snapped up. "What do you mean, replacing?" Ruiz swallowed hard. "They've developed something called the Sovereign Initiative, a program to create a new breed of soldier. They're using biological implants and neural augmentation to turn volunteers into weapons. But the volunteers don't always survive." Trump slammed his hand against the table. "How many people have they done this to?" "At least 200, Ruiz admitted, his voice tight. "Most of them are listed as missing in action. In reality, they're lab rats." The room fell into an eerie silence. Trump leaned forward, his face a mask of fury. "They think they're untouchable, but they're about to find out who they're messing with." He turned to Carter. "Get everything you and Ruiz have to my personal legal team. I want airtight evidence before I go public. And I want General Briggs in my office immediately." Ruiz's voice trembled slightly. "Mr. President, Briggs won't come willingly. And if he knows the truth is out, he'll burn everything." Trump's lips curled into a cold smile. "Then it's a good thing I'm not asking." 30 minutes later, General Nathan Briggs arrived at the White House, escorted by the Secret Service. A towering man in his early 50s with a razor-sharp crew cut, he carried himself with the arrogance of someone who believed he was untouchable. Trump didn't bother with pleasantries. "Sit," he ordered. Briggs lowered himself into the leather chair opposite the president. "I trust there's a reason for this impromptu invitation?" His voice dripped with contempt. Trump tossed the leather folder across the desk. "Project Phantom. Sovereign Initiative. Care to explain why you're running illegal experiments on American soldiers without my authorization?" Briggs barely flinched. "With respect, sir, not all decisions need presidential oversight." Trump's hands curled into fists. "When those decisions involve turning our troops into human guinea pigs, they sure as hell do." Briggs' cold gaze locked onto Trump. "I'm protecting this nation from threats you can't even imagine. We need superior warriors or America will fall behind. I won't apologize for doing what's necessary." Trump leaned forward, his voice like ice. "What's necessary is keeping faith with the men and women who serve. You crossed a line. And now you're going to pay." Briggs let out a humorless chuckle. "You can't stop this, Mr. President. The program is bigger than me or you." A tense silence followed until Trump delivered his verdict. "You're finished, Briggs. Effective immediately, you're relieved of duty. I'm ordering a full shutdown of Project Phantom. And you'll answer to a military tribunal for every life you've destroyed." For the first time, a flicker of fear crossed Briggs' face. "This isn't over," he hissed. Trump stood tall, towering over him. "It is for you." As the Secret Service led Briggs away, Trump turned to Carter and Ruiz. "We just pulled the curtain back," he said, his voice steely. "Now let's burn the whole rotten thing to the ground." The next 48 hours were a whirlwind of covert maneuvers and strategic decisions inside the White House. President Trump, working closely with Lieutenant Carter and Captain Ruiz, launched a silent but deadly operation to dismantle Project Phantom before its architects could cover their tracks. By dawn, the Pentagon was on high alert. Loyal officers were tasked with securing black sites connected to the Sovereign Initiative. Trump knew that once the public got wind of these illegal experiments, the backlash would be explosive, but first, he needed every shred of evidence to hold the guilty accountable. In the Situation Room, Trump paced as Carter and Ruiz briefed him on their latest findings. "Sir," Carter began, pulling up a classified dossier on the large display, "we've confirmed 3 primary facilities where Project Phantom is operational, one in Nevada, one in Alaska, and a deep-sea research station off the Atlantic coast. Each location is housing advanced technology and human test subjects." Ruiz added grimly, "We have reason to believe at least 50 soldiers are still trapped inside those programs, most of them undergoing irreversible experiments." Trump's jaw tightened. "We're not leaving anyone behind. I want coordinated raids on every site. No leaks. No mistakes." Agent Reynolds, who had been overseeing security for the president, stepped forward. "Mr. President, I've already deployed special ops teams, men we can trust. We can have all 3 facilities under our control within 24 hours. Trump gave a sharp nod. Good. But I want more than just shutting this down. I want the people responsible in custody. If there's even a whisper that someone higher up knew about this, they're going down too. Carter hesitated. Sir, it's bigger than we thought. Trump turned, his eyes narrowing. Explain. She took a breath. General Briggs wasn't the mastermind, he was just the enforcer. There's a deeper layer. We found encrypted memos signed with the codename Specter. Whoever Specter is, they authorized the sovereign initiative. And they have connections inside Congress and the intelligence community. For a rare moment, Trump was quiet, processing the gravity of the situation. Specter, he muttered. I don't care if it's a senator, a billionaire, or some shadow spook, they're going down. Ruiz leaned forward urgently. We have one chance to bring this to light without letting Specter disappear. If you authorize it, we can break the story wide open through an independent press channel. The public deserves to know. Trump raised a hand. Not yet. We need to hit them first hard. When the time's right, I'll personally tell the American people. And I want Specter unmasked. Later that night, Trump sat alone in the Oval Office, sifting through the classified documents. The deeper he dug, the clearer the truth became. Specter wasn't working alone. There were collaborators in the highest levels of government, people willing to sacrifice American lives for ultimate power. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. It was Carter. Mr. President, she said softly. We did it. We stopped them. Trump looked up, his expression unreadable. Not yet, Lieutenant. We've won the battle, but the war's just beginning. He stood, walking to the window as the city lights twinkled beyond. Tomorrow, I'm addressing the nation. The American people deserve the truth. Carter smiled faintly. And Specter. Trump's voice was steel. I'm coming for him. The next morning, the nation held its breath. Rumors of covert military operations swirled across news channels and social media, but no one knew the truth yet. President Trump was about to change that. By noon, the East Room of the White House was packed with journalists. The air crackled with tension as cameras from every major network pointed toward the podium. America was about to hear a story more shocking than anyone could have imagined. Trump adjusted his red tie and stepped to the microphone, his face a mask of cold resolve. My fellow Americans, he began, his voice steady. For the past several months, a rogue military faction has been operating outside the law, conducting illegal human experiments on our brave servicemen and women. This operation, known as Project Phantom, was hidden from my administration, from Congress, and most importantly from you, the American people. A gasp rippled through the room as journalists scrambled to record every word. This program was not just an abuse of power, it was a betrayal of the very foundation of our democracy. But let me be clear, we have shut it down. The people responsible are being brought to justice, and we will not stop until every last conspirator is held accountable. In the wings, Lieutenant Carter and Captain Ruiz stood side by side, watching the most powerful man on earth deliver the truth they had risked their lives to uncover. Trump's tone sharpened. I've ordered a full investigation into every corner of our intelligence and military infrastructure. Any leader, no matter how powerful, who participated in this treachery will face the consequences. No one is above the law. For the first time in days, Carter felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they had one. Meanwhile, deep beneath Washington, D.C., in an undisclosed intelligence facility, Specter watched the live broadcast with icy calm. So, he's making his move, the operative standing nearby murmured. Specter smiled faintly. Let him. He thinks he's exposed everything, but there's one truth even Donald Trump isn't ready for. The operative shifted nervously. Should we initiate the purge? No, Specter said softly. Not yet. Let him feel like he's winning. And when he's at his most confident, we strike. Back in the Oval Office, hours after the press conference, Trump pored over newly decrypted files from the seized black sites. What he found chilled him to the core. A classified document labeled Phase 2. Sovereign ascendancy detailed plans far beyond human augmentation. Specter's ultimate goal wasn't just enhancing soldiers, it was controlling them. Through neural implants and advanced AI, they intended to create a secret army, one loyal to no nation, no constitution, and no leader but Specter. This is beyond treason, Trump muttered. This is an act of war. Agent Reynolds entered briskly, holding a secure tablet. Mr. President, we found something else. Surveillance logs show encrypted communications between General Briggs and a private compound in rural Montana. Our analysts believe it's Specter's command center. Trump stood immediately. I want that compound locked down. No one in or out. Reynolds hesitated. Sir, it's not that simple. This place is fortified like a fortress. We'll need a strike team. Trump's eyes blazed with determination. Send the best. By nightfall, a covert SEAL team codenamed Shadow Talon descended on the Montana compound. Under a moonless sky, their black helicopters hovered silently before touching down. Inside, Specter's operatives were already on alert. An alarm blared as gunfire erupted, echoing across the compound's steel walls. But the SEALs were relentless, breaching defenses with surgical precision. In the command room, Specter watched the assault unfold on the monitors. The time for subtlety was over. Activate the failsafe, Specter ordered coolly. But sir, the operative stammered. Now. Back at the White House, an emergency alert flashed across the Situation Room screens. Mr. President, Carter gasped, Specter just launched a digital blackout. They're erasing every record connected to Project Phantom, bank accounts, personnel files, even evidence we seized from the raids. Trump slammed his fist on the table. Can we stop it? Ruiz typed furiously, attempting to block the purge. I'm trying, but they're using next-gen encryption. If we lose these records, I'm not losing anything, Trump growled. Carter, get the NSA director on the line. I want Specter's network frozen immediately. Inside the compound, the SEAL team finally breached the command center. Specter stood calmly as the lead operative raised his weapon. You're under arrest, the SEAL growled. Specter's lips curved into a cold smile. Am I? In one swift motion, he activated a small device on his wrist. The lights flickered and Specter vanished in a blinding flash. Hours later, Trump stood at the White House balcony, the cool night breeze brushing against his face. Despite the victories, Specter had escaped and the threat wasn't over. Carter joined him quietly. We did what we could, sir. We saved lives. And we sent a message. Trump nodded slowly. But Specter's still out there. And they won't stop until they finish what they started. Turning back toward the glowing lights of Washington, Trump's expression hardened with resolve. They picked a fight with the wrong man. I'm not backing down. Not now. Not ever. Epilogue, a shadow lurks. In a hidden sanctuary far from prying eyes, Specter leaned back in a leather chair, eyes glinting in the dim light. Trump thinks he's won, the voice was amused. But this is only the beginning. A new blueprint flashed on the screen, Phase 3, Dominion Protocol, and at its center, a chilling tagline. A new era begins.